Let me show you what I'm referring to when I'm saying that I think workshop framework is getting flooded. All right, now this is one example. Now, with this example, I also understand that I believe that based on the results I'm seeing, there is also a compatibility problem with grab and eat. So I don't know if I mean, I'm not going to say, I can't say if grab and eat is causing the issue or whether this is a workshop framework issue, maybe an unhandled exception. So let me show you basically what I'm trying to do or what I tried to do and what happened. Okay, so I'm actually in Oberlin Station. I've got the grass disabled, and you can see I've got rows of crops. Now, what I did was I imported a settlement using transfer settlements, which added crops on top of existing crops. So when I export a settlement, I export the original items and I export items that I build. And one of the downsides to that is that if I was to scrap the entire settlement and then I import the settlement, I've got Workshop Framework set to automatically assign settlers to jobs, which I would need to set that off because before the settlement stabilized, according to the author of Transfer Settlements, before that stabilization happens, they're going to be assigned crops. And that may lead to nav mesh corruption or some type of linked list corruption. So in doing this, I have overlapping objects. So let me show you. Okay, so here is a case. See, I have two overlapping objects. See, and there's only two. So over here, what I did, see, there's that. But over here, I had to move them over here. I had to put them in the middle, is what I did. So what I went to do is I scrapped one of these because it's actually two different objects. So I thought, okay, I want to scrap one of these. What you would think would, a person would normally do if you have too much food. Now, as far as transfer settlements goes, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I can't see code inside the virtual machine, but it's been a while since I've been here, and I did travel away as suggested, did some other things, and then travel back to reload the cell. So that's what I basically did, is just simply scrap one of these duplicated tomato plants, or potato plants. When I did, you instantly see a crash. See the crash over here? All right, let me go ahead and dock this up real quick. Let me dock this over here. All right, so you'll instantly see a crash. All right, if we take a look at it, over here, it shows, and I'm going to link this with this. See where it says Workshop Power? No idea why that's even coming up. The power grid is not corrupted from what I can tell because I really wasn't adding anything to the power. I was simply scrapping a plant. And I only scrapped a plant. So nothing was done, nothing was added or removed from the power nodes. Okay, object reference, see workshop bench, okay, because that stuff would go back in the workshop bench. So this, see, there's the potato plant, and that's the one I scrapped. So there's the potato plant that got scrapped, and then this actually caused the game to CTD. Now, if I take a look, so that right there is the buff out crash, which came from Workshop Framework. Now, let's take a look at the, okay, so that was the first time. Second time, I don't scrap the plants. I move that first row over to the left. So I thought, okay, scrapping this is causing a problem. So the next thing I did is I thought, okay, I'm going to run the game again, and this time I'm not going to scrap the plants. I'm just going to move them over. That worked just fine. However, once I saved the game, once I exited, and I only moved over like maybe 8 plants, 6 plants, The other 2 rows I haven't touched because there's 3 rows of duplicated plants, and I only moved over the duplicated plants from the first row, right? So if you go over here and you take a look at, I think it's log detail. Okay, this is going to take a second to bring up. So you can see that there is a stack overflow. Stack over, you know, basically dump the stacks. There's too many. And the culprit here is, at least from what I can tell, is grab and eat. This is the one doing it. Now I'm going to go ahead and post this in the grab and eat forum for compatibility. I have 2 workshop errors up here. Or, you know, I had 2 workshop entries. I'm not sure if this is important, where it says file not found, if this is just a test, or if those are important files that somehow are missing or are not found. So I wanted to pass that on. But if you take a look, it's got workshop object. So it looks like the target script is workshop object. Okay, so let's go over now. I went ahead and found workshop framework over here, which is the one I have installed. So over here, workshop framework, we're gonna find the mod, and then here's this, right? So now let's show the files, and we can clearly see these are the files that's in the workshop framework archive. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to show the files for the BA2, or these are the files that's in the workshop framework release, and that's the release version. So now I want to take a look at the files in the resource archive. So let's bring that up. And what I want to do is I want to find, I think it's, okay, did I find it? Let me find. Okay. So up here we have 2 instances. Well, I have instance of workshop object script. I believe it's only 2. So the first thing I thought of, oh, we're still got the game going. All right, so let's go forward here. All right, I think it's this one here. Workshop object script. So obviously what I'm looking at is right here. So I'm thinking that workshop object script was modified by workshop framework. That was the target of grab and eat. So I'm not sure at this point. I'll have to take a look at the script, but I think I still have a package. I don't know if I have the newest package. I'll have to take a look and see if it's on GitHub somewhere, or maybe you can link me to it. But so I believe at this point, what this tells me as far as this thing here, this buffer overrun, is that it made a call to workshop object pex, or workshop object script.pex. And for some reason it hung, or it overloaded. Now this did eventually clear. So if I was to go back into the game, let's go back in here, okay, and then let's do another save.
Dumping stacks warning.
No, it did not clear. So either we're still stuck on that. Let's see how much we okay. That seemed to have cleared because it checks for dumping stacks after every save. So let's go down here. Yeah. So we're finally clear. So this was the one where it said dumping stacks warning, and now we're clear. So the actual stack is clear. So either there's a compatibility problem between Grab and Eat, I think it's Grab and Eat revised, or somehow workshop script is getting something, it's an unhandled condition or something. Like I said, I haven't looked at it to see what event is firing, which one of these events is firing, and why it's causing this kind of recursion. Because really all I did was move over 6 plants, so there really shouldn't be this kind of recursion. So this is what I'm referring to when I'm talking about it's getting flooded. Because I think that right there, from a design point, I believe that becomes a choke point. So everything goes through workshop framework, which believe me, I understand the design. You know, it handles objects. It was designed to handle objects, you know, putting them, you know, in and out of workshops. Fine. I mean, that's I get all that. But what I'm looking at this is trying to objectively figure out where the problem is. Now, if you, like, as I mentioned in Red Rocket, where I had that nav mesh crash, when that 1 second pause happened, the game triggered a reprocessing or a reload. So if the cell should normally load just fine, but all of a sudden some kind of data in there is causing the cell to reload, then let's say that everybody says, okay, the cell loaded, everything is there, post-processing is done, but yet something triggered a reload or a recalculation of nav meshes for whatever reason. It's going off nav meshes, it's moving the NPCs along a combat path. But that nav mesh has now changed while the NPC's moving. That's going to result in a crash, because that'll be a null reference. Because the data changed, the points changed, the table was relinked. So that is what I think is triggering that crash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. Once I'm done here in Oberlin Station, I'm going to run back to Red Rocket and see if I have that 1 second pause, because I never noticed that until I had workshop framework in the game, but I never noticed that, or at least I don't think I noticed that until SS2 was actually installed. So SS2 is then firing something off, and I believe that happened. If you remember, if you looked at the stream when I came back from Concord, when I left going to Concord, there was grass all over the nav mesh for the ground. But then when I came back, I'm like, wow, there's no grass here. This is completely bare. And then now you look, and then later on, you seen grass. Grass was back on there, and grass was enabled. So somehow something was triggering a recalculation or a post-processing to be redone on that cell, at least how visually I'm looking at it. And then if that happens when combat is in process, because let's say it automatically, it already calculated the AI pathing, and let's say that is simply a list. It's a pathing list. I'm gonna generate a path. I'm gonna look at the nav mesh. I'm gonna take a look at the nav mesh, see if I can get to where I want to send the NPC. So once I have that path, then I'm going to start that character moving, and I'm going to assume that nav mesh is not going to change while I'm moving. So I think that's the error in the game. I think that's the game engine code says, okay, step number 1, I determine a path. Step number 2, I begin executing that path. So they assume after step number 2, if step number 1 looks for null references and says, okay, we can't move. But once it calculates a path, if that nav mesh changes while an NPC is navigating it, then I don't think there's a check in there for that, because I think step number 2 in the game engine, just looking at the behavior, is going to assume that everything is just fine. It found a path, let's execute that path, because it doesn't think it's going to change in the process. Now, if that were true globally, then that means if I am actually deleting objects, the nav mesh would change. Unless somehow manually going into workshop mode somehow disables that until you exit or something. I'm not really sure. But that's how I'm looking at it so far. That's what I think this is looking at the data. So the crash came. The crash over here came, which is here. This is the crash came. And like I said, I'll zip these up and I'll link this in the thread, or if somebody needs it, I'll link it in the thread, and then I'll go ahead and post on the Grab and Eat and Revisited and see if that really, because it looks like it is calling Workshop Framework, and I'll ask over there if it's compatible. But I don't think that is what caused the crash, because this is the result of the crash. So, yeah, I just wanted to show you that and kind of keep up on this kind of testing and try to figure out where the crash point is. All right. So it's Sunday. I don't plan on doing a whole lot of stuff today. So, but I should be able to pick up Monday and and get a little bit more testing done. I still have a lot of coding to do, but the templates are the form template is pretty much done. I just got to put some more custom code in it, do a little bit of main library. I got to change some of the main libraries around to handle specific types of data. But other than that, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna hop off here and kind of just pour some coffee and continue the day. So I hope everybody has a good Sunday, and I will see you sometime next week.